Welcome to the World Game segment of Critique Central Sports. You're here with me, Boof Daddy, and I'm here with Hansen, as always. We're here to discuss the second leg fixtures of the Champions League semi-final. So, Hansen, we're going to start with Internazionale versus Barcelona. What do you think?
Yeah. Today in Italy, proper Catenaccio.
Yeah.
Focus on airtight defense. This is when I remember the BBC partnership, Bonucci, Bazaki, Chiellini, of the great Juventus of some years ago.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is a match that it is so difficult to call, especially with the first leg evenly balanced 3-3. I just don't know, trying to apply all football logic, but I just can't say who is going to come out. I feel I want to give Inter Milan the edge because
They'll be at home.
they'll be at home and we've seen their performances at home and all that. And I feel like after the first leg with Barcelona, where even though Yamal was double marked, triple marked, but then he still was dribbling here and there, conjuring magic here and there. I feel they're going to do their homework on him. I mean, Inzaghi said you're going to put two or three men on him.
He said two players.
Because he's the danger man.
On him, yeah.
He's the danger man. And in Italy, if they do that, well, it might be difficult for Lamine Yamal. But it's so difficult for me to tell or to say who is going to come out as the winner.
But tell me, from like a tactical standpoint, how do you think Inter is going to line up, or how they're going to prepare? Because from what I think, I actually believe that they gave themselves a very good chance of qualifying, but with that second half display.
Yes, their backs were against the wall for a huge chunk of the 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Barcelona had the ball, they were pushing. But one thing I realized that Inter Milan are a threat from set pieces.
Yeah.
And throughout the match, Barcelona did not do their homework well. If Inter had more of possession, they would have had more set pieces. They would have caused a lot of damage. When you look at Acerbi, who they play, they look at Bastoni, Dumfries, Thuram. You know, they are all fast-paced and they are strong.
Yeah.
Now, they have that aerial prowess. That is one of Barcelona's Achilles heel I figured out from the first leg. As to whether they are going to address that issue going into the second leg today,
You can't tell.
I can't tell. I know Barcelona is going to have a huge chunk of the possession like they did in the first leg. But this is Italy, you know, and it's a huge test for Barcelona. I feel I'm going to go for Inter Milan. I don't know.
Go for Inter.
I don't know, but
I mean,
I just going to go
your
for
head
Inter
tells
Milan.
you Barcelona, but your heart says Inter.
Inter Milan, I don't know. They have something about them.
I think in the first leg, how Inzaghi approached the first half was surrendering the flanks, but then keeping the middle compact. Because Barcelona have those Dani Olmo and Ferran.
Having a lot of touches around the box.
Ferran were in between the lines, open to receive those passes from Frenkie de Jong and PSG. But then they overcrowded that area. But in overcrowding that area also meant that they freed up the flanks for Lamine Yamal. And when it created the overload, because Jules Koundé was making that overlapping run, Lamine Yamal could eat. But in the second half, you could tell that they actually doubled Lamine Yamal on that side. And they freed up the middle a bit. But then Barcelona were still not able to create spaces and passes in the middle. So I don't know how Barcelona is going to approach this game, because in the first leg, they created nothing from the left. From Rafinha's side, was actually nothing from that side.
You do realize that Dumfries was playing as a makeshift midfielder. Yeah. And when you look at the pace of Dumfries, if you are a left back, which was Gerard Martin, you will be very cautious as to bombing forward frequently.
Yeah.
Now, Gerard Martin doesn't have that attacking prowess like Balde. So, of course, it wasn't working. And you do realize that in the second half, it didn't work because Fleck brought Inigo Martinez to be a left back.
Yeah.
So, technically, it was like a back three, and then Koundé was high to create overloads so that Rafinha could have his 1v1s. Yeah. That is what happened. But the left was not going to work. But when he doubled up on Yamal, you realize that the chances in the second half
Yeah,
were not.
they were actually very minimal.
If you look at when Barcelona were down 2-0, if you look at Rafinha's first equalizer, Yamal's equalizer to make it 2-1 to have the deficit. He was from the one, he dribbled, maneuvered, went to see the box, and there were three guys.
You could
there
actually
were three Inter players.
You could actually tell that
motionless.
The only time Barcelona actually scored an orchestrated goal was their second goal.
Yes.
The third and the first goal was all out of brilliance.
Exactly.
It was sheer brilliance.
Individual brilliance.
So I think at the end of the day, that might be able to see Barcelona through. But apart from that, I'm just trying to think of scenarios or situations where Hansi Flick can create or put Barcelona in an advantageous position. And my head is blank, probably because I'm not the manager myself. But
but Inter Milan, we know they are going to still play their 3-back formation. So when they're defending, it's a flat 5, back 5, right? When it happens that way, you don't have a lot of spaces or room.
So 5-2-3.
That is it.
5-2-3.
And we don't expect Inter to set back as they did in the first leg.
No, they're going to be
also take the game to Barcelona. Yeah. And then we didn't see Inter's offensive threat, but they scored 3.
Mm-hmm.
So what if they open up more today? Let's think about that too. We didn't see them providing enough offensively, but they managed to score 3 goals. If the away goal rule was still in play, Barca would be hot.
Well, I think that's something that only time will tell.
But Lewandowski is not going to start.
It's less than 24 hours, and so we will know. You're tipping Inter?
Yeah, I'm taking Inter to make it, and I don't expect to see many goals in this game.
Yeah,
and most will be 2 goals.
I mean, you can lead Barcelona 2-0, and then Barcelona will come and win, even if like 80 minutes is gone. So,
but they do most of that in their home turf.
I still think Barca might edge it, but that's just prediction. Only time will tell.
Wow.
Quick one. You just speak about Paris Saint-Germain and Arsenal. That's also going to be an interesting one because Arsenal missed Thomas Partey in the first leg there, and PSG started the game well, but then after 20 minutes, Arsenal got control over the game. What do you think? That game is still very open. I feel like
I don't think it's very open.
How?
Listen, Enrique had a game plan where he scored when PSG scored that goal. Even though they played, but they were more conservative. Now they didn't want Arsenal to get a goal. So Enrique's plan was to get a goal in the first leg. When you get a goal, you can manage the game. You don't even concede chances. But they did concede chances. Just that the Arsenal forwards were profligate.
Yeah.
And also, Donnarumma was at his very best.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really think Partey's absence that day and Partey's presence today would make too much of a difference because those midfield maestros who orchestrate play, they control the tempo. The same thing Vitinha does.
The 3 minions in the middle.
Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, João Neves. Do you get my point? The only problem that PSG might have is when Dembele does not play because he's also injured.
He's nursing because a hamstring injury.
Their transitional play is from whoever to Vitinha to Fabian Ruiz. Dembele comes, get it straight to the flanks, and then they quickly create the 1v1s where Kvaratskhelia and then Due will do the damage. That is what they've been doing. Will do the damage. So I know Arsenal is going to score a goal, but I don't think they'll qualify.
But don't you think that even if Dembele doesn't play, Bradley Barcola can?
Bradley Barcola is one of the most serious players I know. So he's like a Rafael Leao.
He's like Noni Madueke.
No, Madueke is a level. He's in the box. Madueke is something else. Barcola play. You see, there are some players you see they have the backs of talent. They have the technique. But it's like Ochibaku Benepedeniaji.
Yeah.
Like Leao. They dribble, but you can see the technique is there. Dembele was like that. But now if you look at Dembele play, his dribbling is purposeful. He knows when to dribble, when to slow the tempo, when to release the ball. But Barcola, he's energetic. He'll be running and all that, putting pressure. But I don't trust him to do the job Dembele has been doing because Dembele has been playing through the middle, and he's clever. Now Dembele has You can see him very mature in his play, which I'm sure experience and age played a factor. But you can see him play, and Dembele is a complete pack. He's an auxiliary nine.
But the Arsenal PSG game is going to be in the midfield. I feel like the team that takes advantage or is able to stamp the authority in the game is going to be the team that's going to come out victorious.
They are going to get spells. Arsenal are not the most possessive, possession-based teams like PSG is. Now, this is Parc des Princes. Okay,
Yeah.
where we know PSG have a loss of possession, they make sure that their play like is saturated.
They actually, yeah.
They have it there. Now, Arsenal have a resolute defense. You know, Arsenal's plan backfired in the first leg because the least they were expecting was a draw. Because then you see Arteta will go and have a solid defensive base. Now, in today's game, tomorrow's game, they are chasing the game. So you can't afford to defend. They need to chase, they need to get a goal. And that will play in PSG's hands. Because then they cannot be that defensive so that like they did when they went to Madrid
yeah.
where they had a solid defensive base, but then they punished Madrid on the counter. They can't afford to do that now. Why are you playing a counter attack when you are down? You need to score a goal. That is the only problem. So Arsenal's game plan from the first leg, if Arsenal had won that first leg, they would have gone through.
Before we end this segment, talking about Arsenal going all out and trying to get a goal, one thing that has actually bothered or hindered Arsenal in the final third this season is the ability to thread passes or pick up runners. For someone like Odegaard and his quality this season is actually failed to flatter people. You know, if PSG are going to be relaxed and take the game under their spell and dominate the way they want to at their own tempo, then Arsenal would have to be very, very prolific and efficient in every attacking phase. And I feel like Odegaard this season has actually let Arsenal down a lot.
So Odegaard.
Yeah.
Odegaard is not a Bruno Fernandes.
No, we know that,
Odegaard
but that's what he's going to. That's what he's going to play.
Odegaard is like that's what they have. Odegaard is like Bernardo Silva. You see?
No, that is what Arteta. That's the decision Arteta made because they had Emil Smith Rowe.
But you see, when you want someone to a midfield attacking who can tread passes, you see, you need Odegaard when you are trying to manage the game.
Yeah.
Then he can slow the game down, orchestrate one twos with. That's what you need Odegaard. In the first leg, if you watch the game from the 60th minute, we all saw Odegaard had to be subbed out because he was not helping them in any way because they needed a fast-paced, offensive-minded player.
Yeah.
But trying to control playing those 1-2s, Odegaard is not known for treading those true balls. He's the type he doesn't like to take those risks Bruno Fernandes would take. Like, yes, I might miss the pass, but I need to find my man. He's not like that. All he likes is okay. So let me come to the left to right wing, create an overload with Saka, with Timber, and then let's cause damage. But as I said, then again, Arsenal's game plan is out the window because they are chasing the game.
Well, goodness out there.
You get Odegaard who's good with transitions, but as to PSG, you're not catching PSG off guard. But then you need to find a true ball, the Kevin De Bruyne type of passes. That's not Odegaard's strength.
Goodness, tell us how you feel and what you think is going to happen tomorrow.
Well, funny enough, after the first leg, they've been quiet.
Yeah. They've actually been quiet.
And long may it continue.
They've been quiet. I mean,
we spoke about phase 5 Arteta.
We hope that Lucho can make us happy.
Enrique.
Yeah, we hope he can actually pull a rabbit out of the bag. And also, Barcelona's game is going to be hot. It's going to be a hot game today. We're going to watch it and we're going to come back here and discuss and talk about the Champions League final where you would watch with us our reactions. So thank you very much for staying, watching the show to this part. I'd like you to share, like, and subscribe. Also leave a comment with your opinions, your thoughts, what you think is going to pan out today in your predictions. So thank you once again. 1,000 likes and 1,000 subscribers, and peace out.